I think I'd do something that would make them hot.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So I'd do
brain
or something, so they'd be really hot and they'd take their coats off really quickly.
Because usually there's a routine about you take your coats off before you come into the classroom. Anyway, I mean, I haven't seen that many coat picks in the classes. So,
yeah, they're normally outside. I mean, I would be worried if they were really cold because you know it is like here. It's been recently really cold, hasn't it? So I'd maybe if they were like
really stingy with heating,
and I've been in classrooms thinking, please shut all those windows. But I would do something. Okay, let's get warmed up here, and okay, so you boys can take those coats off, or girls take your coats off now.
Yeah, well, just you need to go and hang your coats up now. You know we don't wear coats inside.
I think you need to be very careful in terms of what the children are wearing and how they are physically feeling. I had a situation in my last placement where a child came in after break time and he was absolutely soaked from head to toe and not because it was raining during break time, but because he'd been jumping in puddles, playing football, and he just looked like he'd been rolling around and he was dirty and everything. And he walked up to me and he said, "Would I be able to change into my PE kit because and he was dripping off of his fingers." And I said,
that's a huge pedal valve.
I didn't, and I said, "How on earth did you get in that state?" And he's like, "Oh, I've just been playing football." And like, everybody else was dry. I didn't really understand. So in that situation, I said to him, "Okay," because I didn't want to say no. You got wet. You'll sit and do the lesson, because the trouble is, if he had caught a cold, it would have been our responsibility. So I allowed him to on this situation because I mean it was warm in the classroom anyway, and the teacher was mentoring me at the time, so it was absolutely fine.
I was in a placement, I've never seen this before, but when it's raining, the children chose whether to go outside or to stay in.
Really?
And it ended up most of the boys went outside and just played football, and they got so wet, and they got so muddy, and they just came in and they were just like your child. They were just dripping with wet all the time, and it disrupted.
Did that school have a large glass property box?
Not really. It was. They did activate a lot. And in those situations, she did do activate, but they tended to stay by the radiator, and it did disrupt the start of afternoon lessons all the time. But I think it was in place for them to have a responsibility and maybe to think about the consequences, but it didn't work at all. They all just went out and they all came in and they were like, we're really wet and cold. Yeah. It was like, did you not think about that? No. I remember when it snowed and the school I was at was open on the day, so this was last February or something, when a lot of schools were closed, and the children were so excited about the snow. There was no point in doing any lessons. We were just like, right, we'll go outside, we'll make a snowman competition. And then once you got rid of sort of that excitement, and once that thing was over, they were fine for the rest of the day. But it was sort of like, have we all got spare shoes? Have everyone got their trainers and things? And that was sort of.
I've seen that policy across different scenarios. Like you're coming back from a half term, they have a school I was working in have a strict 15 minutes where they're allowed to talk about anything, do anything, because like you were saying, had they not been given that opportunity, the excitement would have completely disrupted the lesson. But in terms of sitting with coats on because they're cold, it doesn't mean they're not listening. So I think it really depends on the school policies, maybe being in touch, not having a sound knowledge of school policy and sort of all the rules that are in place.
I think
it's testing you at times as well, isn't it? It's just like, well, let's see, they've probably been out on the playground and thought, right, we're going to go back, and six of us will keep our coats on and we'll see if anything's said.
Yeah, it's really important to establish whether it is actually because they're cold or because they're having a go.
I was in one school and
you deal with it differently, different ways, wouldn't you?
Yeah, one school I was in, they had their uniform, they had a jumper and they had fleeces, and children could bring their coats as well, but a lot of children just came with their fleece, so they take their fleece outside and wear it inside, but they weren't, with the school policy, they weren't allowed to wear it inside, only their jumpers. Fleeces and coats were for outside. So then children would get away with wearing the fleece inside because they didn't have anything else. but then the teacher wasn't really enforcing the school rules. And
no, maybe she should have had a spare box of jumpers or something.
Yeah, one school I was in, they had their uniform, they had a jumper and they had fleeces, and children could bring their coats as well. But a lot of children just came with their fleece, so they take their fleece outside and wear it inside, but they weren't, with the school policy, they weren't allowed to wear it inside, only their jumpers. Fleeces and coats were for outside. So then children would get away with wearing the fleece inside because they didn't have anything else. But then the teacher wasn't really enforcing the school rules.